Hey everyone, I'm Follygon, and today we're going to be sculpting some hands, or one hand actually, some spirit fingers. And if you like the hand model that you see in this video, you can download it for free by clicking the eye icon in the top right hand corner of the screen, as well as clicking the link down in the description below. So the first part of sculpting anything is gathering good reference. Now you see, for me, I was lucky with getting good reference. I was blessed with two beautiful long-fingered hands, and I used my left hand as my reference so that I could sculpt with my right and also look at my left hand while I was working. You know, I took my four kind of orthographic view images of those using my phone, threw them in Photoshop, and just kind of made a quick composited image so that I could reference that, import it into ZBrush, and I'll show you how to do that right here in a second. So real quick here, if you want to import your reference into ZBrush, it's super easy. You want to open up your texture menu, go ahead and import your image. I already did that for me, so I got my hand reference here. Click on this and then click this button here that says Add to Spotlight. Once you click that, it's going to pop up a little image right here with this little weird wheel. If you've never used this before, there's some great tutorials online for how to use all these tools, but the main thing that you need to know is that if you want to be able to sculpt and use this image as your reference, you want to open up your brush menu here, your brush palette, come on down to samples and turn off spotlight projection. Once you do that, you'll be able to sculpt normally as if the image wasn't there and you're using it as a reference image. It won't project, it won't do anything odd, and you'll be able to work normally. So I don't know where it comes from, but for some reason there's this idea that when a lot of artists are starting out, they always ask, is it okay to use reference? And the answer to that is absolutely 100% always yes. Always use reference. Your work will always be better for it. It is not cheating. Up in your little brain up here, your little noggin, well, mine's little, you don't have an exact clear picture of how everything looks. Master artists will of course be able to sculpt better than you without using reference, but even a master artist will always be able to sculpt 10 times better if they have reference over if they do not have reference. And the key here is to get good reference and to always sculpt what you know first and then what you see. After you gather your reference, it's on to making your big forms, your primary shapes, all these things that I call blocking in. For me, I like to split my mesh up into multiple parts. You'll see me making the palm of a hand, and I'll even make separate shapes for fat pads and muscles, and even for fingers. I use a single finger and then I duplicate it multiple times, and even another time to create the thumb on this hand. So there's a ton of different ways to kind of block out your sculpt, whether that's using a box modeling program or the tools within ZBrush, or it's kind of doing it the way I do it, where I split my mesh up into multiple parts. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Whatever your way is though, go ahead and spend a lot of time on it, because the blocking in portion, your primary forms and shapes, are the most important part of your sculpt. The primary forms will guide the entire rest of your sculpt, so if something is off at the beginning portion, the beginning stage, the rest is bound to be wrong as well. The next step is pretty obvious, but in truth it's the most difficult. It's spending the time, putting in the time, and cutting out all distractions. Just little nudges of distractions all day, you know, garbage truck just went by, dogs barking in the neighbors, you know, all these bathroom breaks because I'm drinking water all day from my Contigo. All these different things are little subtle distractions, and you just need to block them out and spend the time working on your sculpt. For me, that's sometimes unplugging the internet, rarely, you know, flipping the phone upside down on silent mode, pushing it away, sometimes throwing it in the other room, maybe putting on some headphones, listening to some ambient, no lyric music, something like that where I can just kind of focus on my work. Once you've kind of reached a point where you feel like you've put enough time into it, or maybe you don't know where to go next, this is the point where you have to walk away from your work. Now for me, sometimes it's an hour. I go make some lunch, eat, come back, and I'm able to look at my work with fresh perspective. Occasionally that's taking a day and working on some other stuff and then coming back and getting a brand new fresh perspective. Whatever that is for you, I highly recommend that you try this practice. And what walking away for a little bit and coming back to your work does is it gives you that fresh perspective with which you can look at your work. Now, after you walk away, I highly recommend that you do critique your own work when you come back. And you don't have to kind of go overboard with your critique, but it can just be something quick, something small. Point out things that are wrong with it so that you can kind of see where you need to go next and be able to make those changes. Once you reach another stage where you kind of try this a few times and you feel like you can't progress beyond it, that's when you can start asking for some outside critique and seeking some help from people that are maybe more knowledgeable on the subject that you are creating. I think these practices are pretty good for being used to sculpt anything, not just hands, but I definitely hope that the visual was helpful of me sculpting the hand as well as my words. And with that, I just want to say thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something new, and I'll see you guys next time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.